Alright, in this lesson, we have three objectives. We're going to explain why Earth's atmosphere is important. We're going to describe the composition of the atmosphere, and we're going to list the properties of the atmosphere. Before that, though, you might ask yourself, what is the atmosphere? What we call the atmosphere is actually a mixture of gases. It isn't just one thing. It's a mixture of gases that surrounds our planet. It's very thin when compared to the total size of our planet, too. As you'll see, it's very important, but a very small part when taken into consideration the rest of our planet. Other planets also have atmospheres, although the mixture of those gases is different from one planet to the next. Let's start by talking about why the atmosphere is important. Gases in the atmosphere are needed by living things. 2, they protect life from sun's harmful rays. The sun gives off harmful UV rays, ultraviolet radiation. 3, they also keep temperatures in a range that can support life. In one of our other lessons, we talk about the greenhouse effect, and they kind of help keep things somewhat stable, mostly normal, within a range that we find comfortable and can survive. And number 4, gases in the air play a part in the water cycle, which is, again, is a different lesson, along with weather and weathering. They being gases, are also needed to transmit most sounds. If we did not have an atmosphere, you wouldn't hear anything. What's it made of? Advance our slide there. Composition, again, just kind of a fancy way of saying what makes it up. Mostly nitrogen and oxygen. 99% of the air, if that's dry air, is nitrogen and oxygen. Argon and carbon dioxide make up most of the rest. I use a disclaimer there that it was dry air. But actually, most air also contains water vapor. And the amount of water vapor varies from place to place and time to time. Here in Michigan, the amount of water vapor we have is much, much higher than someplace like Arizona or New Mexico. And even here in Michigan, at different times of the year, the water vapor can vary quite a bit. Air properties. Air has mass and volume. It does have mass. Again, usually we think of mass as being weight. Scientifically speaking, not exactly the same thing, but for our purposes, that'll work. Air does have a weight to it. It does have mass. And it also has volume. It takes up space. Because it has mass and volume, it also has density and exerts or puts out a pressure. Okay? Air actually does push down. Both the density and pressure of air decrease, meaning they go down, with altitude. They decrease with altitude. So the higher you go up in the atmosphere, the lower the density and the less air pressure there is. As a quick review, or maybe a quick introduction, density equals mass divided by volume. So to find density, and again, density is really how much stuff can you pack into a given space. So how many little molecules can you pack into a given area or given space? That's density. And again, density equals mass divided by volume. Air pressure is measured with barometers. So there are different types of barometers. I was talking here just a moment ago about how air has mass and has a pressure down on us. That pressure is measured with what we call a barometer. Oh, also, I will kind of ask you guys, the students in class, what you already know about density, and if we need to go into more detail on that, we can do that. Okay, just a moment ago I was kind of talking about what makes up air, and here we kind of have a nice diagram, gases in the atmosphere, again showing that nitrogen and oxygen, this kind of representing most of the gases here, or the big components. Nitrogen and oxygen make up most of our atmosphere. And of that, you can see nitrogen makes up the biggest slice of the pie, and then oxygen coming in second. These others don't even come close. So you hear a lot of talk about carbon dioxide and methane, and kind of the role they play, and they are important. But as a percentage, they really don't make up that big of a part of our atmosphere. This diagram here, we've got a column of air. It talked about how the density and the pressure decreases as you go up in the atmosphere. So here it says sea level, and this is the top of the atmosphere. So if we could kind of take an imaginary area here, kind of an imaginary square, if we were to measure the amount of air down here at sea level and then move up and keep measuring that air, as you measured that square of air up here, the particles that make up the atmosphere would actually be farther apart. They'd be spread farther apart. So again, down here, you can see those little molecules are packed in closer together, so that is more dense. Up here, they're farther apart, less dense. All right, and that is it for the recorded presentation. We will watch or you can watch the Brain Pop atmosphere animation video and kind of take notes as needed. And we have a couple other videos, Greatest Discoveries videos, Troposphere and Stratosphere, and Cosmic Radiation. We might actually watch those with our next presentation. And there's our list of resources. All right, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask questions online or in class, and encourage you to ask your neighbors for help understanding this topic as well.